There is going to be so much unpacking to do from the world changing events of yesterday. Firstly, let's look at the trade deal with the US UK trade deal, the so called breakthrough agreement that was declared in transatlantic harmony by President Trump from the Oval Office and Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer from a car factory in Solihull. A bit of a difference there. Dressed in the language of triumph, this deal is better described as a tactical de-escalation, a temporary plaster applied to the bruises inflicted by Trump's tariff war. So if you look at the backdrop to this drama, in April, Trump imposed sweeping reciprocal tariffs, a 10% blanket duty on most UK goods, 27.5% on cars, 25% on steel and aluminium. And the UK, just emerging from the post-Brexit fog, could ill afford this pressure, and then this limited deal, which sounds like an achievement. The tariffs on steel and aluminium fall to zero. The car tariffs drop from 27.5 to 10%, capped at 100,000 vehicles. The UK, in return, offers significant tariff cuts on US ethanol and beef, key commodities for Trump's electoral base. Meanwhile, a flat 10% US tariff on the majority of UK exports remains. In other words, a compromise, not a cure. What's in the deal? With more specifics, steel and aluminium, the tariffs are removed. This rescues part of a UK industry already battered, with British Steel recently renationalised to prevent closure. The cars, UK car exports, especially Jaguar Land Rover, receive tariff relief, yet the cap at 100,000 vehicles means any growth beyond that will be punished, which is absurd. Britain cuts tariffs on US beef with a 13,000-tonne quota, and bioethanol, 1.4 billion litres of that. Crucially, food safety standards are maintained, we're told. Hormone-treated beef remains banned. Britain secures preferential treatment for pharmaceuticals should Trump slap tariffs on drugs, though US firms want the NHS to pay more for branded medicines. And there's no tax now on digital services, but US irritation at the UK's taxation of Silicon Valley remains a pressure point. And the language on future cooperation in AI, biotech and aerospace suggests ambitions for a deeper alliance, but specifics are absent. The important thing is what's not in the deal. There's this is supposedly a comprehensive free trade agreement. There's there needs to be fuller resolution about the pharmaceutical tariffs. The digital data and AI regulations are, well, questionable, and the cultural exports, particularly UK film and media, remain completely exposed and unaddressed. So, for Keir Starmer, this was about damage control, not ambition, and faced with immediate threats to cars and to steel, he chose pragmatism over purism. Job saved, not job done, he said, which is quite fair. But this historic framing must be questioned. And Trump, meanwhile, gets to crow with Mandelson, who gets a photo opportunity, about a deal that boosts US farmers and ethanol producers, increases tariff revenue, and underscores his transactional approach to trade. Critics like Kemi Badenoch have not missed the irony. The UK cut its tariffs, the US increased theirs. Shadow Foreign Secretary Priti Patel went further, arguing that Starmer has handed Washington a veto over Chinese investment in the UK. Moreover, the WTO compatibility of this skinny deal is questionable. The most favoured nation principle prohibits favouring one country's exports without broad reciprocal liberalisation. This deal doesn't meet that standard yet. It's a start. It's the beginning of a conversation. It's not a full stop. This agreement is far less than it appears, but perhaps more than was feared. It reflects the real politic of global trade in the Trump era, bilateralism, pressure politics, and sectoral horse trading. But Britain has bought itself breathing space at a cost. The challenge now is to build upon this platform and to resist being drawn into a sequence of transactional imbalanced arrangements that concede much and gain little. I think it's interesting that that this particular deal was being broadcast in America, and the broadcast was interrupted by the far more urgent news of the papal conclave. To end with a fitting echo of VE Day, invoked by Starmer himself, this isn't peace, it's an armistice. The real negotiation, if there's going to be one, is yet to come.